So what I want to give you today is a little bit of background to where we were in terms of the change project, where we were as a function, where we were as an organisation, and where we needed to get to. A few of the results that we've had along the way, a few of the mistakes that we've made, so you can learn from us, and also hopefully a few practical takeaways. So in terms of where we are, we're a post-1992 university. So we're not a Russell Group, we're not a research-intensive university, we're a teaching-intensive university. But for the last 2 years, we've had a new Vice-Chancellor that's very ambitious in terms of our international profile, our student profile and our research profile. We've gone through a multi-million pound transformation programme in terms of our buildings, in terms of our assets across the university, and in terms of how we operate with local government and with central government. So as a result of that, as a resourcing function, which I manage, and looking for talent, we've had to change the way we work. Resourcing has had to become much more proactive rather than what I call a traditional sort of left to right CV function where people send their CVs in, something happens in the middle and we recruit people. So where we were as a resourcing function, as I alluded to, pretty transactional. Every role we posted on academic job boards, be that a barista or a domestic assistant. I don't know why we did it, we just did. It wasn't very well thought out in terms of our recruitment strategy. We had 78% dropout on our careers website, so to give you a bit of context there, out of 40,000 candidates that were hitting our website, we were losing 78% of those before they actually applied to us, which, you know, if you're trying to recruit internationally is quite difficult. Average time that people spent on our careers website was seconds. We weren't getting that kind of traction and engagement, and a huge agency spend that we didn't have much control over in terms of preferred supplier lists and rates. And as a result, resourcing, which was my function, didn't have a lot of confidence from hiring managers. So we had to look at how to change things. So just to give a brief whistle stop of our own Employers Association, so University and Colleges Employers Association, universities are seen as places of study, they're not seen as places of employment. Rightly so, all our marketing is targeted towards students and attracting students, but that means that we're also missing out on people from professional services. And if you're looking to recruit developers in IT, computing, the same as any other organisation, you're not portraying yourself in the best way in the marketplace. And against the backdrop that everybody else is facing in terms of talent shortages, that's where we were as a university as well. So start of the journey, as a function, we really needed to change the way we worked and be seen as subject matter experts that could advise the university on recruitment. Build our employer and talent brand, because we're very much seen as a place for students, and students are cool and all the rest of it, but as an employee, what does a university mean to me? And look at the interplay between technology and the human element as well. One of the criticisms that resourcing had from candidates was we didn't feel very human, the candidate experience wasn't great. So whilst we were looking at technology implementation, we were also looking at how we interacted with people as well on a human level. Look at our quality of hire. Our Vice-Chancellor set us a very ambitious target of saying he wanted to recruit people in the top 25 percentile. So everybody that was coming to the university should be sought after talent. So that was quite a high challenge. And look at becoming an employer of choice. Manchester's a big place. We've got a lot of interesting employers. And Manchester Metropolitan is a large employer, but how did we make ourselves stand out as an employer of choice amongst all that choice in Manchester? And for the first time as a resourcing function, deliver true return on investment. I think it's fair to say that as a function, being purely transactional, we weren't doing what we needed to do in terms of where the organisation was moving. One of the key challenges, and what we decided to look at first, was our senior and executive hiring. Traditionally, all our executive hiring would be done via agency, which is, as you all know, is quite a costly way of doing things in terms of bringing talent in. We didn't have a lot of pull, particularly around professorial hires. So in terms of bringing in those kind of world-leading academics, we weren't pulling in the same level of talent as other organisations. For every advertisement we were putting out, we were getting 1, 2 applicants, when what we really needed to be getting was 20, 30 to make sure we were getting a good spread of talent. But we also needed a solution that was cost efficient. Like a lot of you around this table, we don't have massive budgets. We can't go out and say we'll give 100,000 to an employer branding organisation to create an employer brand for us. So we had to have something quite cost effective. So what we did was we engaged with our branding partner and we set them a challenge of create something that's scalable, reusable, and gives us good return on investment. So what we did was we created these. Now these are electronic magazines, and what you can't actually see on here, because I'm not tech savvy enough to do it on my presentation, is that first one that says Faculty of Arts and Humanities is actually drone footage of the City of Manchester. So what's our best kind of attractive piece, and that's Manchester and what it looks like, flying across campus, flying across Market Square, flying across the town hall. So really pulling on that Manchester as a dynamic and exciting place to work. So if any of you are interested in a link, I'll send you the link, because it's really snazzy, it's really nice, I like it. And the tiles are all render on mobile, so if you've got a mobile device, you can apply in 3 clicks with your CV, and you can scroll down and find out loads of information about the university. It's also accessible, it can be read by screen readers, so we were fulfilling our diversity and inclusion fulfillments, and it's totally reusable. So once we had the original footage for the drone footage, and once we had the format, we could use it whatever the professional hire. So that could be professorial, it could be a head of IT, it could be a head of finance. And for the first time ever, we had some Google Analytics, so we could actually see how things were tracking and how things were working. And as a result of that, we've actually taken the vast majority of our hires in-house and away from agency. So just a quick snapshot of our cost savings. We've reduced our cost per hire from around about £30,000 per hire to £2,000 per hire on senior hires. So the return on investment's been there. The next thing we wanted to look at was just to sort of move away from discrete projects and actually think about the university as a whole. So what we looked at was our employment and talent brand, because as I'd said before, very much traditionally about students, marketed to students, and what we weren't getting across was that why do I work at Manchester Metropolitan, and why should you come and work at Manchester Metropolitan? And also, what people are the right cultural fit for Manchester Metropolitan. So as much as attracting people, it was also about deselecting people that might not fit into a university environment, because obviously universities operate in a slightly different way than professional services, operate in a slightly different way than schools. So it's how are you going to work with us? So we had a very short turnaround really, because I'd set myself quite an ambitious target of making real differences to talent and resourcing within an 18-month period. So in terms of actually building that employer brand, we would have probably in an ideal world given ourselves 9 months to create something. We gave ourselves 3 months to actually build and create an employer brand. As I said before, we didn't have a huge amount of budget to give that to a large outsourcing partner, so we did it ourselves with a little help from some partners who gave us that kind of sense check. So we did it ourselves. So traditional employer branding model, going out, speaking to our competitors, speaking to candidates who'd applied to us, speaking to our agency partners who work with us, and finding out what do people think about Manchester Metropolitan, what does it say in the marketplace. And also speaking to our current employees and finding out why do they work at Manchester Metropolitan, what are the good things, shining a light on our dark spots, and also finding out what it is that keeps people at the university. Once we'd done that assessment and research, it was about building that employer brand concept, creating those pillars around what does Manchester Metropolitan mean to me, and then looking at how we communicated that once we'd captured that employer brand. So that employer brand touches every area of our candidate experience, right from those e-magazines where we created that collateral, all the way through our assessment process in terms of what does that assessment look like, all the way through our PDR documents. We've got that golden thread of employer brand and what does Manchester Metropolitan mean to me. The people proposition that we created was authentic to Manchester Metropolitan, but still aspirational. It had to say, why would you want to come and work with us? But what we were really keen to do was stay very human and very people focused, because one of the key things that came out of a lot of our investigation was the key thing that keeps people at Manchester Metropolitan is the people. Teamwork, collaboration, those were a lot of the words that people were using. So it was using our people and using their stories. So we created collateral, we created words and pictures that related to our people, but speaking to everybody from baristas all the way up to professors, and then using that information to create personas around our candidates and giving them targeted information. So what does that look like? That looks like real people from around our organisation. So that's our accountancy team that are now focused on our website rather than stock footage, and that's Taz from my team and 2 of our PAs who've been entered for awards, so sharing real human social content. So finally, we created that great piece of work around executive hires. We created our lovely employer brand, but we still had that issue of all our vacancies having originally been put on academic job boards. So we looked at targeted advertising. So that was about using our money, not spending more, but using our money much more wisely. And actually looking at those candidate personas we created and creating content that was specifically interesting to those groups. So a specific example would be when we looked for a head of projects to work in IT. We asked our head of ISDS, our head of IT, to create a short video. Tell us what it's like to work in your team at Manchester Metropolitan. Tell us why someone should work here. And we put that on Facebook. Now, as lovely as Kurt, our head of IT, is, if you're not interested in an IT role at Manchester Met, you're not going to click on a video of him on Facebook. So we knew that if people were clicking on that video of him on Facebook, they were possibly interested in an IT role, or they were possibly interested in Manchester Metropolitan. So as a result of clicking on that, we then targeted our advertising at those people. And we got a great return on investment, actually. We got 40,000 page clicks, which was really good, first time campaign that we'd run, and we got 74 potential leads that we then rang as a team and said, would you like to be considered for this role at Manchester Met? And we got 10 people that went forward to interview. So it was really successful for us. In terms of overarching results, our senior and exec hires, we've seen a better level of engagement, and we've obviously seen quite a high cost reduction. We've got a better articulated people proposition. We've got information that we can use that's not students drinking coffee. It's more, if I want to work in the library, why should I come and work in the library? So better information. And we've started to spend our money more wisely in terms of targeted advertising. So a little bit about future and what we plan to do. Continue to leverage that employer brand, continue to use it, and continue to build Manchester Metropolitan as an employer of choice. As I said to Mark earlier, it's all getting a bit tense because we've got a new careers site launching this month, which will have better candidate experience and better user experience. Fingers crossed it all goes well. Because aligned to that, we've got a new applicant tracking system going live as well to give our candidates and our hiring managers a better experience. Looking at individual people propositions for each role. So even though we've created that overarching employer brand, we're going to segment that down even further to why should I work in IT, why should I work as a barista, why should I come and work as a professor. So targeted content and real stories that are interesting to those people. And a greater level of forecasting. What we've not been very good at really is looking ahead of the curve, seeing what's over the hump, and actually then being able to plan our spend. So greater level of forecasting and continuing to use social media as a great channel for us, because obviously it's cost effective and that is the medium of choice for a lot of people now. So in terms of key takeaways, I'd say my takeaways that I've learned along the way are, don't underestimate the complexity of your organisation. I kind of came in and went, it's a university, it's kind of public sector, it's kind of, it is what it is. But actually, it's quite a complicated organisation. You've got, I liken it to a village in some ways, because you've got everything from baristas, domestic assistants, gardeners, people who look after people in halls of residence, world-class professors, and all the professional services around it. So it's like a village, so it's quite complicated. So don't underestimate how complicated things are in your organisation. Understand what people truly think of you, understand your weaknesses. Why wouldn't people come and work for you? Why do people leave you? And then look at how you can address those, or actually how you can use them to your advantage in some ways. Because if you're trying to detract people that aren't going to be the right cultural fit, think about that and think about putting a different spin on it. And what I would say there is, in terms of the university, if you come from a really punchy, fast-paced organisation where everything happens like this, you're probably going to be disappointed with the university. Even though we talk about pace, we're not as quick as your IBMs and your Microsoft and your Googles, and we don't have beanbags and we don't have slides and all that kind of stuff. So it's, so think about your weaknesses. And engaging talent is about fishing where the fish are as well. And this is one of the things that, obviously caught us on the hop originally when things weren't well thought out. Putting every job on an academic job board. Funnily enough, baristas hang around in Starbucks, they don't hang around on jobs.ac.uk. So it's about thinking where people are to engage that talent. And reinforce your brand once you have it. Once you've got that brand concept, use it in the best medium. And for us, that was e-magazines with Manchester and showcasing Manchester, and embrace social media. You know, it's as a university we've been quite slow on the uptake in terms of you know, getting our jobs out there. But in actual fact, when we've dipped a toe in the water, the results have spoke for themselves. So yeah, so it's been a bit whistle stop, but hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour of the journey that we've been on.